Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Did you see what happened in Tempe, Arizona? Okay, Tempe, Arizona, wild place. Arizona State, by the way, fun campus. All tourists will say about Arizona State. Had a buddy that went to grad school there, may have hung out at ASU for maybe like 6 weeks at one point. Kind of, I was graduated, he was in grad school. Maybe I hadn't totally figured out life. So I've always had a soft spot for Tempe, but I'll tell you what, I don't know if Arizona fans do. Arizona gets to win 81-72 in this game, but that's not really the story. First of all, we'll talk about Arizona and like what it means big picture for them. But to me, the story of this game was the final probably 7 or 8 minutes of the game, okay? And so first off, first half, Bobby Hurley. We're talking about Bobby Hurley now, not Dan Hurley. Bobby Hurley gets a technical early in the game, rips off his tie, goes crazy, is super frustrated, but then late in the game, as the game is going, it's not quite out of hand, but it pretty much is. There's this crazy scenario late in the game where Caleb Love gets hit for a technical foul. Now, we can't show the video here on YouTube because, it's a copyright infringement. It's a CBS broadcast. But Caleb Love gets a technical. Everybody on the Arizona bench starts freaking out like, whoa, what are we doing here? And so they go to the replay. They show an Arizona State player had headbutted Caleb Love. He had headbutted him. Again, I'd love to show you the video. I wish we could, but we cannot by rule show it here on YouTube. Not having this whole video taken down because a lot of you have watched it, okay? But at the same time, why it matters, why it was important is because the kid gets ejected. Bobby Hurley goes crazy. Then, as the game is going final, Bobby Hurley, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. He sends all his players who aren't on the court and his assistant coaches to the locker room, basically insinuating that there's going to be a fight on the court. Now, I'll say this. I have seen scenarios where a team is on the road and about to lose a big game, and they know a court storming is coming. So, like, I remember Roy Williams was kind of the first one to really do this, is if he was on the road, and just pick a school. I'm not even going to pick a school because I don't want to be negative. But, if he was at, I'll pick a school, forget it. Florida State, Clemson, Pitt, whatever. And he knew there was going to be a court storming. He would actually send all of his players who weren't on the court to the locker room because he said, I don't want any of my players getting caught up in that, okay? I've never seen a coach at a home school do that and then sends all of his players out. Then the game goes final. This is one of the great moments that I've ever seen because Bobby Hurley basically refuses to shake hands with Tommy Lloyd. Looks over at him, kind of gives him a two-fisted wave, and says, I'm not coming over there. And Tommy Lloyd's like, Tommy Lloyd, if you don't know Tommy Lloyd, nicest human being ever. Like, salt of the earth, doesn't have a mean bone in his body. I don't even think he knows how to raise his voice. And he's like, what? Me? You're mad at me? You're mad? Your guy's the one that headbutted my guy. Like, what are you mad at me for? And so kind of pushes him aside, whatever. And then, so it's crazy. So we have the headbutt. Bobby Hurley sends his team to the locker room, refuses to shake hands with Tommy Lloyd. Then Tommy Lloyd, to his credit, kind of got the Arizona crowd fired up. But I bring it up because this was kind of interesting. After the game, Bobby Hurley was still mad. And he was basically asked about Caleb Love. Here is a quick clip of part of what he said about Caleb Love.
I do get a vote for all.
So that was how Bobby Hurley's sound, or how his press conference ended. I have a vote for all Big 12, and you could guess who's not getting my vote? Caleb Love, because your guy headbutted Caleb Love. Feels a little bit aggressive. Listen, I don't want to do this whole thing. We've talked a lot about Dan Hurley. I know the whole family runs hot. I don't have a problem with Dan Hurley because, listen, I think Dan Hurley can berate the refs. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, you can call me out on it. I don't know that he's ever berated other teams' players. I don't know that he's ever berated other head coaches. And Bobby Hurley to come out and say, I would never vote for Caleb Love, or I'm paraphrasing, but I'm not going to vote for Caleb Love for all conference. It's kind of classless to me. Totally classless to me, as a matter of fact. So it's disappointing. And I know I said I wasn't going to go long on this segment, but I had to set that up. Bobby Hurley refusing to basically acknowledge Arizona or Caleb Love. But we're going to acknowledge Arizona here. And I'll say this. This is one of the great turnarounds we've seen. Okay. And I think we talked about it a little bit on Wednesday's show after Arizona hit that buzzer beater to tie Iowa State, force overtime and beat them. Arizona is quietly turning into one of the best turnarounds in college basketball that we have seen in a long time, okay? Because you look at Arizona, and I keep throwing this out, but they lost to UCLA in mid-December and were 4-5 at that point in the season. I said the season's over. It's done. Forget about it. Not even worth acknowledging, blah, 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 whatever. Well, I bring it up because since starting 4-5, Arizona is now 15-6, which means they're 11-1. They're 9-1 in the Big 12, which is insanity, because this was a team that at times struggled in the SEC or in the Pac-12 last year. Well, they're 9-1 in the Pac-12 with Houston's loss to Texas Tech. They are tied atop the Big 12. This is one of the great turnarounds we've ever seen. Now, I will say Arizona's schedule does get much tougher. I think this game at BYU this coming Tuesday is no joke. BYU has won 4 in a row coming into this one. You got Texas Tech, which is the only one that beat you. And then the back half of the schedule, you still have Houston, at Baylor, at Kansas, at Iowa State. So that is a tough road, but you got to give Arizona credit. They've won 10 of their last 11. The big difference, Caleb Love is playing much better. There was a time in the season where he was averaging 8-9 points per game. 27 points in this game for Caleb Love, a game where, oh, by the way, on top of that, he also hit 5 of 9 from 3. This after starting very slow against Iowa State, but hitting 3 clutch 3-pointers late in the game, including the buzzer beater to force overtime. Caleb Love playing better. Listen, Arizona fans know I think that Carter Bryant, the star freshman, should be playing more. But yeah, what a day for Arizona, man. What a day for Arizona. Bobby Hurley with the freak out of the century. Cannot believe it.